Good afternoon. How are y'all doing?
Doing fine. Thanks for asking.
Of
Hope you're doing as
course, of
well.
course. Thank you. Yes, I'm doing well. Thank you. I see people are trickling in, so we'll um, get started in a few minutes. All right. It looks like we're right at 12 p.m. So thanks everyone for joining the State of Alabama Procurement Study public hearing. My name is Trinity Williams and I'm a project manager with Griffith and Strong PC. And the purpose of today's hearing is quite frankly, just to hear from you all about your opportunities, your experiences within the state's procurement process. If you don't have any experience working with the state, we still want to hear from you about ways that the state can improve on their procurement process. So we will start the public hearing with a short presentation about the study, and then we'll open up the floor to you all to start sharing your experiences and your testimonies. All right, so for today's agenda, we'll go a little bit into details about who we are, the objective of the study process, how you can continue to get involved, the project timeline, and then we'll go again, open the floor up for the public hearing. So a little bit about us. So we specialize in procurement research, training, and supplier diversity consulting, contract compliance, and program development. Our team consists of 6 JDs, 2 PhDs in economics, a PhD in social psychology, and a PhD in anthropology. And no study that we have conducted has ever been challenged or overturned in court. All right, so for the objective of the study, so what we're essentially looking at is where economic growth opportunities exist for minority and women-owned businesses. We're strictly looking at state funds, not any federal funds within the state's procurement of goods and services, and we're looking at 5 industry categories. We're looking at construction, architecture, and engineering services, goods, professional services, and other services. And then at the end of the study, we'll have collected both quantitative data and qualitative data, which will result into findings and recommendations that we send to the state. And if these findings and recommendations are accepted by the state, they are intended to be implemented into policy. So here's our study process. We start the study by conducting a legal analysis where we're looking at where relevant case law within the state exists and what that looks like. We also do a deep dive into the state's purchasing policies and procedures. During this phase, we also look at the state's interviews. We conduct interviews with state departments to learn more about how they understand their policies. We collect and clean data from the state. We also conduct a relevant market analysis that is looking at where the state spends at least 75% of its dollars. So we're looking at a geographic area and we break it down by those 5 industry categories that I mentioned earlier. We conduct a utilization analysis where we're looking at what firms are being utilized, broken down by race, ethnicity, and those 5 industry categories. We look at the availability analysis, what firms are available, and then we have a gap analysis, which is where we compare what firms are being utilized to what firms are available. And then we run a regression analysis. We also collect anecdotal evidence from the business community, which is what you all are a part of today. It's extremely important to hear directly from you all to learn about your experiences. It supports our quantitative analysis. And again, at the end of the study, we'll have a final report with findings and recommendations. So here is our community engagement and how we are collecting anecdotes from the community. So we started by doing an informational meeting earlier this year in January. And we conducted anecdotal interviews. The anecdotal interviews are randomly selected one-on-one interviews with businesses of different race and ethnic groups. We conducted a survey of business owners, getting your anecdotes and making them quantifiable. We have our public hearings. We have all of our public hearings until tomorrow. Our last one is tomorrow, our Spanish version. And then we have focus group sessions. These are also randomly selected. And it's just a way for us to be in a group setting with business owners and then provide topics for them to have a conversation amongst themselves. We will be having focus group sessions. We'll start outreaching for those soon. So if you do hear from us, we do encourage you to attend those. We also have organizational meetings and business meetings where we're sitting down with organizational leaders and getting their perspectives about MWBE participation in the state's procurement process. And we also collect testimonies and anecdotes from the community via email and social media, which I will show you all our email in this slide. So as you continue to be involved, we do encourage you to be vocal. Again, it's extremely important for us to hear directly from the community about your experiences to implement those into the study. Again, they are a part of our findings and recommendations as well that we are intended to be put into policy if accepted by the state. Participate in an interview. If you would like a one-on-one interview with us and you don't hear from us, please email us at this study email, Alabama Procurement Study at gspclaw.com. Again, we have focus group sessions coming up. If you do hear from us, please participate. Attend a public hearing. We have one more public hearing tomorrow, and that will be conducted in Spanish, and then stay updated with the study at procurementstudy.com. All right, so here's our timeline. We started in the summer of 2023. Right now, we are working on the data analyses. So some of those I mentioned in our study process. We're working on the relevant market. We're working on the utilization, availability, and gap analysis, as well as the regression analysis. We're also wrapping up with collecting anecdotal evidence. We completed our online survey, and then we will be working on in the fall of 2024 this year, the draft report. And then early winter, January, February of 2025, we're looking at finalizing the report and then having presentations to the state about our findings and recommendations. So here are a few ways you can stay connected with us. We have our Facebook, our LinkedIn, and our company website. Again, here's our study email at Alabama Procurement Study at gspclaw.com. If you would like to provide your testimonies there or anything or any questions about the study, please feel free to email us and stay updated with the study at alabamaprocurementstudy.com. All right, so the purpose of the hearing is to hear directly from you all about your experiences, either positive or areas for improvement, either doing business or attempting to do business with the state of Alabama. If you have any recommendations, suggestions, please feel free to voice those as well. If you have not done business or even attempted to do business with the state, we still want to hear from you and learn why that is the case. So we would like to hear from everyone. Everything said in this hearing will be available for public record. We do post our public hearings to our study website, but in the final report, we do not publish any names or any affiliations. We are not soliciting any questions. Again, we want to make sure we are hearing from everybody. So we're only taking commentary. If we have questions about something that needs additional clarification, we may ask it, but we are trying to give everyone an opportunity to speak. If you do have questions, again, please feel free to email us at our study email, alabamaprocurementstudy@gspclaw.com. And then lastly, when you provide your comments and your testimony, can you please begin by stating your name and your business name? And if you would like to introduce yourself in the chat as well, please feel free to do so. All right, so we will open the floor up if anyone wants to get started. Would anyone like to start by providing their testimony?
I can go ahead and start.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. My name is Cherie Herron. I am the owner of Divine Restoration Counseling and Consultation. So I offer mental health therapy and consultation to other clinicians. So I've actually not done business with the state, and I honestly wanted to join because I didn't even know that there were opportunities to bid for contracts in the state. I wouldn't even know where to look. I don't know if they like advertise for contracts or if they put information out for individuals to know that there are contracts for people to bid on. I had no idea. So when this came up, I was just very interested to see what this process is because I've never heard of the state offering this service for businesses.
All right, thank you so much for sharing.
Hi, Trinity. My name is Autumn Sanders. I am the founder and CEO of Quire Consulting. Quire is spelled Quire, and we've talked before. Since we talked, I've been working with Create Birmingham to facilitate an application cohort for the OMBE State Minority Business Certification process. I decided to work with Create to run the cohort because we don't always get, as business owners, get time to think about how to set ourselves up to be seen by the state as a minority business. A lot of folks didn't know that they could get on the registry that the state has as a minority, as a certified minority-owned or women-owned business. So a couple of things I wanted to share from doing that cohort. We just finished week 4. We've got 2 more weeks to go. Create Birmingham's providing a notary for people who go through in week 6 so they can bring their paperwork, get it notarized, put it in an envelope, stamp, send it off. So at the end of 6 weeks, everything that you need to do is completed. So things that I heard, people weren't clear what the distinction was between the OMBE certification and the federal DBE certification. And so they came because they knew they needed to get certified, but weren't sure what the difference was between the two. We saw a lot of people struggle because they haven't filed their taxes. They got an extension. Their accountants automatically filed an extension on their behalf because they knew that they would be late filing their taxes. And so they come to the OMBE certification and they're unclear about their tax status and what they need to do to get their taxes done in order to be able to turn in their OMBE application. We also heard where people were concerned about having to have client referrals in the OMBE application process because it asks about the dollar amount of doing business. And so there was a lot of trepidation from people that they were being judged on the quality or the success of their business because of the questions asked through the certification process. And so I'm constantly trying to reassure them, you can be a good business, you can be a bad business, you can be profitable, you can be unprofitable. They just want to know that you're in business. So there's a lot of conversation and reassurance that needed to be happening in order for people to feel comfortable that that being a minority or a woman owned or a woman founder was enough to be able to apply, that they didn't have to be at the top of their game in order to be able to submit their application. The last thing that was confusing is that the OMBE application is general to all types of businesses, but a lot of the questions really focus on things that need bonding and licensing. And a lot of businesses just don't need those things. And so because it's a universal application, there's a knowledge barrier. And so people think, oh, well, I don't have this, so I can't fill this out or I can't complete this, rather than saying, I don't have this because it doesn't apply to me and I can continue to fill this out, even though I can just put NA on this. So I just wanted to share those things from my experience of leading this cohort. It's not a hard process, but there are a lot of questions in it. And so more support from the state to help people actually complete the application would be really, really helpful. We were really intentional about this cohort that we wanted when people get to week 6 to not have to do anything else to complete it, that everything could be done in this cohort model. And so far we've seen good response, but we've also still seen where people just didn't know that this was for them. And they thought because we were doing this cohort, it was a real gift to them. We were like, this shouldn't be a gift. This should be par for the course. It should be easily accessible. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Autumn. And good to see you again.
You too. Thanks for hosting this.
And Autumn, what was the name of the cohort again?
So the organization that's hosting it is Create Birmingham, and we're
Mhm.
just calling it like an OMBE cohort because I'm
Okay.
not an expert in this. I've only done it once, and I'm actually using this to get my recertification paperwork finished. So it's kind of, we said what we wanted to do is this is like a study hall.
Mhm.
So everybody's working on the same thing. We talk through every week if we do a piece of it that we have questions about. And so what I did is I created a Google Doc. Everybody's got their checklist in the Google Doc. And as they complete parts of the application, they can check off what they've done. And if they have questions, they can come to the workshop, the session, and ask the questions of each other. And so people are talking about, hey, well, I use ChatGPT to figure out wording for my capability statement. And, so they're sharing advice and with each other. So that way I'm not the expert trying to tell everybody how to do this when I always just have questions. But it really is kind of creating community and creating confidence around it. I want to say that Create Birmingham applied for a Birmingham Bold grant and did not get it, but they kept pushing and got a grant from Regions Bank in order to be able to pay for my time to host the cohort, to and then also to get registered for the notary and all that kind of stuff. So there was some funding involved, but I don't think it was a heavy lift in terms of funding to be able to do something like this.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Autumn.
Mhm.
Would anyone else like to provide their testimonies?
Hello, I'm Princess Harper. I own PLH Merchandising, and I do screen printing, embroidery, and promotional items. Um, I I think I thought this was more or less letting me know how to bid on the state contracts, because that's my biggest hindrance, is knowing how to bid on them, because when you pull it up, it's so much information to try to see on the screen, and then to try to print it off, and then you don't have the long papers to print off the stuff so you can read it. So that's my biggest hindrance with the state procurement system, is knowing how to bid on the contracts.
All right.
And I'm assuming this is not what you're here to do. You're just gathering information.
Right. Yeah. And I was just about to say that. So yeah, the we're conducting a study, and we're gathering that information about potential barriers within the state's procurement process, if barriers do exist, for minority and women-owned firms. At the end of the study, we'll provide the state with findings and recommendations. And then, those are implemented or intended to be implemented if accepted by the state, as policy. So we do want to hear from you all about your experiences. If you have suggestions or anything, whether positive or negative, we want to hear from you all. But yeah, this isn't a meeting to provide those resources to you. All right. Does anyone else, would they like to provide your testimony? And again, if you haven't done business with the state, it still is really valuable to us to hear about potential barriers or reasons as to why you haven't done business, so we can note that for the study.
Hello, my name is Carol Stute, and I am the owner of Stute Speech Language Services. So I'm a speech pathologist who provides speech and language services to children and adults. I also operate C&J Maintenance and Home Repair slash CC's Home Improvement, which is a handyman services company who provides painting, flooring, drywall, home repair services, both commercially and residential services. And so the barrier for me, because we are not general contractors, we do repair services, we do not build. I've tried to do business on the local level, and I was told because I was not a general contractor that I was not able to contract for some of the services, some of the local housing authority services that required painting or flooring or updating to some of the homes, or move in, move out services. And so my question would be, has that policy changed, or is there some way to look at a change in policy so that handyman services providers who may only provide certain services such as painting or updates are so that we can gain entry into contracting with the state or even at the local government level?
Yeah, so I'm not able to provide that information to you, but it sounds like it's important to note that there's not a clear understanding about whether this policy exists, and then the entry, for your business in the state's procurement process. So I will definitely note that for the study. And thank you so much for providing your testimony. All right. Courtney Woods, did you have, would you like to provide your testimony? Also, if you're not able to speak, or if you would like to introduce yourself, please utilize the chat. Gwen, would you like to provide your testimony?
Hello,
Hi, yes, we can hear
can you
you.
hear me?
Yes.
My name is Gwen Pullum of Pullum Lawn Service. My experience with the state has been positive so far for its bidding. And so I'm just listening just to try to get other information.
All right. Well, thank you for
So,
introducing yourself. Would you be able to go into more detail about your positive experiences, things that you have liked or enjoyed that the state is doing within its procurement process?
well, for all the, I guess before they started the procurement part, we were already registered with the state and doing business. So every time it's time to bid, we always get the notification so we can bid right away as what instead of being surprised or always just looking for it. Whatever job that we currently has, we always have opportunity to bid on it again. And so as far as the other ones, we just go on the internet and I look for other jobs that we can bid on as well.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Gwen. All right. Anyone else? Sharita, would you like to share your experience?
I'm Sharita with the Alabama Department of Economics and Community Affairs. I'm not actually a business owner. I work for the state of Alabama. So um, I don't have any experience with bidding, and I just I'm part of the procurement process when people have to bid. So, or I work for a DECA, so we have to send bids out in order for people to bid on. I should say that.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. All right. Thomas, would you like to share your testimony?
Yes, my name is Thomas Falls. I'm with Falls Facility Services. We've been doing business with the state for the past probably 10 years. It's always been a good experience. They're easy to work with. The property managers are easy to work with if you follow the guidelines, what is set forth in the RFPs that we get. So I have not had a bad experience so far. And like I said, we've been doing business in multiple locations, and it's always been a good experience for us.
All right. Thank you, Thomas. And what type of business?
We do janitorial service and light maintenance. That's our background.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Victoria, would you like to provide your testimony? Oh, sorry. I see your comment in the chat. I will put the study email in the chat for you. Michelle, would you like to provide your testimony?
Hi, Michelle with Symbol Communications. I'm just here listening, and I was a little bit late to the meeting because I had another call, but we have done a lot of work with other municipalities and just trying to get a little more information. So just here to listen in.
Okay, and so the purpose of this meeting is to hear about your experiences doing business or attempting to do business with the state. Have you attempted to do business with the state? And then would you be able to provide your experience on that?
Yeah, we've participated in some bids. Haven't won any yet, but so far the experience has been pretty simple and pretty streamlined. We haven't had any, big issues with it, but we're still kind of new to this and just trying to get more involved with the state.
All right, thank you so much for being here. All right, Troy, would you like to provide your testimony?
I'm not real sure this meeting is designed for myself or my company. I'm the National Accounts Manager for Land Pride, which is a division of Great Plains Manufacturing, and we're owned by Kubota Tractor Corporation. It seems like this is more of a meeting for small individual-owned businesses or minority businesses. And I could be wrong, but I got an email to join this. So we currently hold contracts in other states, and I've explored a little bit on how to become a registered vendor in Alabama. We do business in Alabama. We have dealers in Alabama. But we do a lot of our sales through cooperative purchasing with Sourcewell and Buyboard and Omnia Partners. We are interested in trying to bid or obtain a state contract for our equipment, which basically in a nutshell is if it hooks up to a tractor or a skid steer, we probably make it. The big problem with a lot of the states, and I'm not pinpointing the state of Alabama, but there are states out there where the procurement offices are so difficult to deal with. There are times when we as, some of you as business owners and me as a manager for a large corporation, we're trying to reach somebody and we can never get to where we need to go. The phone numbers on the websites don't get us to where we need to be. And then if we finally get there, we leave a message and then we never get a call back. And so we end up calling and calling and calling, and it can get very frustrating and time consuming. Some of the requirements the states have for their contracts, one contract that we have in particular, they want, if they purchase something, they want something delivered within 30 days. That's great in a perfect world, but I mentioned this at NIGP to some state procurement people, and they agree with me. In those contracts, with the state the country is in and the economy is in, delivering in 30 or 60 days sometimes is not actually feasible. Because we can't get maybe parts, or we can't get materials, or we can't build enough fast enough to satisfy the requirements of the contract. So I've reached out to numerous people that I know in different states to kind of discuss that and maybe change those delivery dates when they draft up their new contract for rebid. Other than that, to be honest with you, for the most part, the states are good to work with. There are a few that are extremely, extremely difficult. And I don't need to go into details. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but for the most part, it's pretty self-explanatory on the websites. I'm sitting here looking at your website. It seems very self-explanatory and how to do things. But if there could be more visibility, I guess, as to where do we go? A lot of these people that have spoken are are business owners. They may be a one-man or a two-man or woman shop, have never dealt with anything like this before. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. It would be helpful, like the state of Maryland. They have currently it's about every other week they have webinars, and they'll have 4 to choose from, and it's how to do business with the state of Maryland. What is the state of Maryland looking for when you bid a contract? Who do you contact? And there's different webinars. They last about 30 minutes, and it helps the small business owners who don't maybe not deal with state contracts on a regular basis, get their feet underneath them so they know what they're doing. I came into this position about 7, 8 years ago, completely blind. I had no direction, didn't know what I was actually really doing, and had to kind of learn on the fly. And now that I know what's going on and how these procurement offices in each different state work, which is completely different in every state, I kind of have a feel for what's needed. The other aspect that some of these business owners will find, or some of us as manufacturers find, that's extremely difficult is every state has a different program that they use for their contracts. Now, when you hold, as a company like ours, you hold maybe 12, 15, 18 different state contracts, and you have to remember what platform you're using and how to use it. That makes it very difficult. And I've mentioned it to NIGP before at the convention. It would be absolutely a blessing if a majority of the states, and it can't happen for everybody, for every state, but if there was a uniform platform that every state would agree to use, so that we as vendors or business owners knew, hey, this is the platform that I use for these 10, 12, 14 states, and I go here for everything, and I can just click on, I need the state of Alabama, or I need to go to the state of New Mexico, or the state of Texas, or whatever. And it's all right there, only you're using a different internal program under that same platform. And it was kind of identical. So we don't have 20 different platforms that we're trying to learn and remember how to use, because the state of Mississippi has one, you have one, the state of Pennsylvania has one, and they are all so different. It takes so long to navigate all of these different ones, and they keep changing all the time. And I know I've gotten long-winded here, and I've kind of given you probably more than what you're looking for, but I am definitely going to be looking at the state of Alabama, and I'm just interested in hearing what everybody else kind of has to say. But that's typically kind of my stance as to where I'm at right now.
Thank you so much, Troy. I do have a few questions for you. And I do want to say to your point about what types of businesses we're hoping to hear from. So we're hoping to hear from all businesses, regardless of race, ethnicity. The study is broken down by different racial groups. So we're looking at hearing from all businesses, all types of businesses, no matter the size, anything like that. So a few questions.
Sure.
Regarding your point about the platforms, which I think is a really good suggestion, is there a particular platform that you enjoy using when bidding?
If you were to go, and if I had to choose a platform, whether it be from a state or a cooperative, the one I would definitely stay away from, because it is extremely difficult, or two I would stay away from or take a look at if you have the ability to, is to stay away from the state of Mississippi, because it's very, very cumbersome. And if you make one wrong move, you're toast. The state of Pennsylvania is another platform that is extremely difficult to use. The best one I have ever seen that is out there right now that is point and click based It's not a kind of what I would call a 1980s version DOS system. Is if you look at Sourcewell, if you could contact probably John Andres, Andres, at Sourcewell, and have him explain to you or show you the platform that they use when we have to rebid a cooperative contract, I can literally rebid that contract in a matter of hours. It's that simple. Before they went to this platform that they had designed, it would take at least a week to 2 weeks to do. Just like a lot of the state bidding platforms that are used, it takes so long to scan and to upload, and then to go over here and back over here, and then you have to add all your pricing, and we have to have it added this way. And then, the state of Mississippi wants our pricing and all of our products entered one way. The state of Delaware wants it another way. This one, you upload it, it's done, boom, it's over. It's point and click. That is literally the best platform I have seen from any state platform or any other cooperative platform, by far.
All right. And then you mentioned that you haven't done business with the state. You're working on doing that. Have you had any discussions? Because it sounded like you had a lot of different discussions with different departments of different entities. Have you had any discussions with the state of Alabama?
Not yet. I have not reached out to anyone at the state of Alabama. It would be extremely beneficial for not only myself, but maybe for some of these other business owners who are getting started in this segment for their business. If there was an email sent out to all of us that says, hey, if your business is in this category, reach out to this person. Here's their email and their phone number. If you're in this segment, if you sell lawn and garden attachments, or you sell cleaning products, or you provide some sort of cleaning service, these are the people that handle these state contracts that you would fall under and want to bid. That would be extremely helpful, so that we're not searching around on the website. Not that it's a bad website, because it's not. Looking for, okay, who do I call if I have a question? Do I just call the procurement office and they hopefully get me to the right place? There are some other states that you can go onto their website, and it's an actual procurement tab, and it will list everybody's name, phone number, and email address, and the type of contract that they are in charge of and that they administer. So you know right away. And then once you find it, you go back to where you were. I haven't dived deep enough into yours to see if you have that, but I think that would be extremely helpful.
Okay, and then one more question about the NIGP convention that you mentioned. How did you hear about that opportunity or that event? Did you hear about it through the state, or was there another way? I was just curious.
I actually found it on the internet. I think about 7 years ago when I started, I ran across it in a search for something to do with procurement. And so I investigated it a little bit. And then I also reached out to my colleague at Kubota, and they had attended the NIGP conference and said it'd probably be a good thing for me to attend. So my first one that I went to was in San Antonio, and I've been going ever since. It is a great way to promote your service or your product. If you haven't heard of NIGP, you just have a little 10 by 10 booth, or you can get a bigger booth, and you set it up, and you get to meet with all different people in the purchasing departments. It's actually the large NIGP is basically the procurement industries, major once a year convention and you show your product and your service for 2 days and you're out of there. It's been extremely beneficial for Land Pride and for Kubota. Met a lot of good people, and there have been sales that have been born because I have attended that convention.
Okay, and then one more question, I promise.
No, it's fine.
At the convention, did you see any state representatives there?
No, I have not seen, if you're talking about representatives or senators, political,
Oh, sorry, I meant like from the purchasing department or
oh yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, the people that are actually that attend that are the people in the procurement department that, one, they have to get continuing ed hours or they have to get some sort of educational hours. And the people that attend are actually the ones that will make the decision on, okay, do I buy this person's product? Do I sign the PO? Do the specs match? Do I need to contact them? They are the ones that are going to say yes or no to your sale. And they come from all segments of the procurement from the procurement world. There's some there that are from the highway department. They buy supplies for the highway department. They buy supplies for the schools. You name it, they're there. If I had to guess on average, unless you go to the West Coast where it's very lightly attended for whatever reason. This year it's in Charlotte, North Carolina in August, and you can still attend. They still have room, but I would say typically you're going to have an attendance of procurement officials somewhere around 1,000 to maybe sometimes 2,000 that are there. It may be lighter than that depending on where it's at, but there's a good number of people that are there, definitely.
All right. Thank you so much for providing your testimony and answering all of my questions. I really appreciate it.
Sure, not a problem.
All right. Would anyone else like to provide their testimony? I think we have gone through everyone. Did anyone else have anything to add?
Good afternoon, Trinity. My name is Robert Reynolds. I'm with Reynolds Research and Technology Corporation. We are a service-disabled veteran-owned small business. I attempted to do business with the state of Alabama some years ago, and became very frustrated when I determined that they had no set-asides for veteran businesses, which was very troubling to me, considering, veterans are a large part of the economic stability of the country. And so I was on their website, and I haven't been on there in quite a while because, as one of the other vendors has said, it's very cumbersome, trying to figure out where, what, when, how. And then when you pull down the paperwork, a lot of the paperwork is not, and I do federal contracting, which is very structured. A lot of the state contracts are not structured. It's just like this, pull this, we need this, and then you're reading down, oh, provide this. It's like, okay, so I need a PhD to figure out how to bid this contract. And so I find myself not even bothering with it. If there was some way for them to literally put their contracts in a contract structure that made sense to small vendors, as well as if it was something that's not out there, like I said, I haven't been there, any type of set-asides for economic disadvantage, small business, women-owned small business, veteran-owned small business. It makes it more lucrative or more advantageous for somebody to go on because they know that in that category, they're competing against people like peers in that particular profession or that particular venue. So that's all I had. Like I said, I hadn't been on there. And I heard somebody said there was a dedicated website or a vendor portal or something. I had no idea about that. Haven't even seen it. Don't know how to get to it. It wasn't advertised as far as I know. And I am a DBE certified small business as well. And like I said, I've never received any information such as that. So that would be something that should be, if you're certified in the state to do small business or as a DBE, I would think that that would be information they would, be forthcoming with you to say, hey, you're certified in our state. Here are some avenues that we want you to venture. So I think that's one of the areas that they need to really strengthen as far as getting small business to participate. And that's all I have, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thanks for providing some of those suggestions. For this study, we're working very closely with the Alabama Office of Minority Affairs. So I am going to also drop their website in the chat for those who would like to go there. But yeah, again, thank you for providing your testimony. We have about 13 more minutes left in this meeting. So I wanted to give another opportunity if anyone else had anything they would like to say that they think we need to mention for this study that you feel like the state needs to know. All right. Well, I think we got to everyone. Again, thank you so much for attending. If you have any questions about the study or would like to do a one-on-one interview or would like to provide more information about your experience, please feel free to email us at that Alabama Procurement Study at gspclaw.com. It is in the chat as well. And you have AOMA's website as well. But other than that, thank you again for attending and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much also.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.